Welcome to the 2024 University of Maryland Global Campus Veterans Day ceremony. Would you please rise for the presentation of the colors by the University of Maryland Army ROTC Color Guard. Please remain standing for the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming? And the rockets' glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Colors, order, arms. Colors turn, march.
You may be seated. Please welcome our Master of Ceremonies, United States Air Force veteran and UMGC Assistant Vice President for Veterans Programs, Xavier Bruce.
Hello and welcome to the 2024 University of Maryland Global Campus Veterans Day ceremony. Greetings to our distinguished guests, students, faculty, staff, alumni, and friends here in Adelphi, Maryland, and around the world joining online. Our music today is provided by Prelude Brass Quintet under the direction of Dave Detweiler. These musicians are current or former members of military bands, and we are so pleased to have them today. Special welcome to Holly Shockey, who performed for more than 20 years with the U.S. Army band, Pershing's Own. Can we please have a round of applause for these talented veteran musicians? I offer a warm welcome to all of our veterans, military active duty members, and their family members and friends who join us today. On Veterans Day, we honor those who have served around the world and the sacrifices they have made. We honor those who serve their communities and strengthen America here at home. And we honor the family members, volunteers, and organizations who give so much in support of the military community. It is my pleasure to introduce several special guests joining us in the ballroom, including today's keynote speaker, Assistant Secretary, Department of Labor, Veterans Employment Training Service, James Rodriguez. Member of the University System of Maryland Board of Regents, William T. Wood. Retired U.S. Army Major General Lloyd Milo Miles, Senior Vice President for Global Military Operations at UMGC. And I am very pleased and honored to introduce an individual who is truly changing the face of higher education and transforming lives in Maryland, across the United States, and around the world. Please join me in welcoming the 7th president of the University of Maryland Global Campus, Dr. Gregory W. Fowler.
Thank you, Xavier, and to all of you, welcome to this special Veterans Day commemoration. And thank you for joining us here in Maryland and wherever you are around the world. As you may know, UMGC was founded in 1947 to serve adult learners in the workforce and military who needed more than traditional higher education had to offer. In 1949, when the Department of Defense called for schools to serve military personnel still stationed overseas, only the University of Maryland stepped forward, sending 7 pioneering faculty to teach US troops in post-war Germany. This year marks the 75th anniversary of our operations in Europe, and our contractual relationship with the US military continues uninterrupted. Today, UMGC serves learners at more than 175 global locations in 20 countries and territories, and more than half of almost 95,000 students we served in 2024 are military affiliated, including more than 15,000 veterans and some 38,500 active duty service members around the world. So you can understand when I say that Veterans Day holds special meaning for UMGC. It offers a cherished opportunity to express our gratitude to all of you who served, and to honor the tens of thousands of UMGC students, alumni, faculty, and staff who have worn the uniform of our country. They inspire us, and they have shaped our university in fundamental ways, laying the foundation for an institution and culture that is mission-driven, agile and resourceful in the face of challenges, and focused always on the learners whose lives we seek to transform. Just a few days ago, Military Times notified us that UMGC ranked first in 2024's list of Best for Vets for primarily online coursework, first in Maryland and first in the Mid-Atlantic region. This is recognition that in many cases can be traced back directly to the hard work, care, and leadership exerted by colleagues who are themselves veterans. So today, and every day, to our UMGC veterans and to our veterans the world over, we say again, thank you. We are proud of your many achievements, inspired by your courage, humbled by your lives of sacrifice and service, and above all, grateful for your belief in our country's most noble values of liberty, justice, and equality for all. Again, I want to say thank you.
Thank you, President Fowler. 80 years ago, President Roosevelt signed the GI Bill, officially known as the Servicemen's Readjustment Act of 1944. He believed it was crucial for helping veterans reintegrate into civilian life after World War II. Roosevelt emphasized that the bill would be essential and provide essential benefits like education, housing, and unemployment assistance, helping veterans transition successfully and contributing to the nation's economy. He viewed it as a way to honor their service and ensure they had opportunities for a better future. Today's ceremony honors those who have served in uniform, those who have served alongside them, and those who have supported the military, veterans, and their families in their education. If you have served in uniform, or if you are the spouse or dependent of those who have served, please stand and be recognized. Thank you. We are inspired by your courage, your commitment, and your love of country. Each year, the Veterans Day National Committee publishes a commemorative Veterans Day poster. The poster is selected from artwork submitted by artists nationwide and is distributed to Veterans Affairs facilities across the country and to military installations around the world. This year's poster, revealing the theme, A Legacy of Loyalty and Service, is by Maisha Gaudet, a disabled Army veteran from Queens, New York. Here at University of Maryland Global Campus, we have a legacy of providing post-secondary education to veterans and the military. And on behalf of the faculty and staff at UMGC, it is our honor to serve you as you pursue your education and your dreams. Let's take a closer look at how military service has shaped the lives of our university students, faculty, and staff.
I do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic.
You take that oath and you listen to the words of it. It means a lot because you are essentially saying that you are writing a check with your life for the country. A lot of people have paid that ultimate sacrifice. A lot of us will never forget those individuals that paid that ultimate sacrifice.
What is loyalty? It is dedication and commitment. And then what is service? Service is being able to serve others. If you look at the theme of loyalty and service, I think UMGC is loyal to those that serve.
When you serve in the military, it's bigger than yourself, and that's honorable. With all the things that are happening in the world today, if something had to happen to you, why not serve your country?
that I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the same.
So it's a big thing in my family. So my grandparents were in the military, uncles, aunts were in the military. But for Frank, it was a first generation kind of adventure. He really wanted to give back to his country.
They used to do a series on television, an old television series called The West Point Story. It opened and closed with pictures of cadets marching. And so from the first time I saw that, I thought, I want to be one of them. It's just really the idea of service, you know, and trying to do something good for somebody else. I think that really is what drives you.
And that I will obey
the orders of the President of the United States.
You hear those stories of what it meant to others that have gone before me. That's such an incredible opportunity to do something that's bigger than myself, about someone else, about the country, about our communities.
What I appreciate most about serving our country is being able to know it leads to not only the other people's freedom, but the ability to be able to go home and sleep safe at night knowing that I have watch.
And the orders of the officers appointed over me,
according to regulations and the Uniform Code of Military Justice.
So help me God.
I enjoy the military. I love the people, I love the work, contributing to something bigger than myself.
One of the reasons they serve because they want to, right? And then a lot of people serve because they realize that it's a thing of honor.
Years ago when I took the oath when I joined the active duty Army, it was an amazing experience. I am so proud to be able to demonstrate my loyalty and my service to the military community that's around by being able to serve our students at UMGC Europe, across Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East.
I decided to join the military so I could pursue my education. Now I'm here with a bachelor's degree and a master's degree, and I'm happy about it. I'm very proud to be an American. I love the country.
Can you imagine being in Iraq, being in a combat zone, and you hear the rounds going off, you hear the munitions out there going off, you know bad things are happening, but you have faculty members out there who's saying, you know what, I'm gonna go there and serve our troops. So it takes a lot of courage for somebody who don't have to be there to put themselves in harm's way to be there to educate our troops. So that means a lot. And that's what makes this school unique.
Wow, what a powerful tribute to our students, faculty, staff, and veterans worldwide. And now, I'm very pleased to introduce our next speaker, Major General Lloyd Milo Miles, our university's Senior Vice President of Global Military Operations, retired from the Army after a distinguished 32-year career. Since 2015, he has overseen the administration and management of UMGC's operations and partnerships in more than 20 countries and territories, including the United States, Europe, the Middle East, Africa, and Asia. He is the fourth soldier since the Civil War to be promoted to general as an amputee. And he is the only amputee general to serve in either Iraq or Afghanistan. And the only one to serve multiple combat tours after becoming an amputee. I consider it the utmost honor to serve alongside him here at UMGC. Please join me in welcoming retired Major General Lloyd Milo Miles to the stage.
Thank you, Xavier, for the introduction and for serving as the Master of Ceremonies for this event. President Fowler, distinguished guests, colleagues, veterans, and friends of UMGC gathered here in Adelphi or observing from various locations from around the world, welcome. Before I begin my remarks, I would like to extend a special thank you to the Army ROTC Color Guard from the University of Maryland who posted the national colors for this ceremony, and to Ms. Holly Shockney for that beautiful rendition of the national anthem. And then to all the members of the UMGC community who had a hand in putting this event together, thank you. A few months ago, the town of Derby, Kansas, held a celebration in honor of one of their hometown heroes, a soldier by the name of Specialist Joseph Herndon. The honorary event would consist of a motorcycle and vehicle ride from Derby to Winfield, Kansas, and end with food and drinks at the Shindig's Bar and Grill. In high school, Joe Herndon was a star on the football team, a natural leader, but not a great student academically. He was very intelligent, but Joe would rather spend his time cracking jokes and making the other students laugh than getting good grades. And judging from some of the nods around the room, I suspect that some of you have known a few Joe Herndons over the years. 20 years ago, I was serving as the commander of an infantry brigade combat team of 3,500 soldiers, preparing them for battle. It is during this preparation that my story begins, and when I first met Specialist Joseph Herndon. One day, the brigade command sergeant major came into my office and said, "Sir, do you know what one of your soldiers did?" Now, I'd been around long enough to know that when someone says one of your soldiers instead of one of our soldiers, it was probably not a good thing. So I replied, "No, Sergeant Major, what did one of your soldiers do?" The Sergeant Major proceeded to tell me how this specific soldier drank an entire water bottle full of tobacco spit. I know that sounds gross, and it is, but let me give you some background information. While on deployments or training in the field, many infantry soldiers had a habit of chewing tobacco and then spitting on the ground. Around the barracks or in a building, they carried an empty water bottle around and then spit into the bottle, which was much more civilized. Now, I had been around young soldiers a long time and have the gray hairs to prove it, so I was not too surprised by many of the things that they did. But this case intrigued me, so I asked the Sergeant Major, what on earth would possess one of your soldiers to drink a bottle full of tobacco spit? Well, he replied that Specialist Herndon wanted to bring his wife to Hawaii, where we were stationed before we deployed to Iraq. Herndon had borrowed and saved some money, but he was $400 short. So he bet the other soldiers in his unit that he would drink the entire bottle without throwing up. Dozens of soldiers took him up on the bet, and at $20 a person, he had enough money to bring his wife to Hawaii. A few months later, we would find ourselves in one of the major battles of the Iraq War. The fighting was street by street and building to building. Specialist Herndon was a team leader responsible for 4 soldiers. While maneuvering down a tight alley, Joe Herndon led his men around a corner. An insurgent popped out of a building and fired a rocket-propelled grenade, or RPG, from a short distance away. The massive warhead, designed to destroy armored vehicles, struck Joe Herndon in the chest, knocking him back a dozen feet, but the warhead did not explode. Joe Herndon was knocked unconscious, but he was alive. One of my fondest memories of the war was a picture of Joe standing in the trauma tent without his shirt, grinning from ear to ear, and showing off a giant purple bruise that covered his entire chest. In his hands were the 2 halves of the ceramic plate from his armored vest that broke on impact but saved his life. The legend of Joe Herndon was quickly growing as word spread that he was struck by an RPG and lived to tell about it. Joe earned his first Purple Heart on that day and could have gone home, but he decided to stay with his men. A few months later, while on vehicle patrol, an IED, or improvised explosive device, detonated under the vehicle Joe was traveling in. 1 soldier was killed and several were injured, including Joe. All of the injured were flown by helicopter to a field hospital in Balad, Iraq. After immediate surgeries and other medical treatment, the wounded soldiers were kept at Balad until they were stable enough to be flown on an aircraft to Landstuhl Medical Center in Germany, and for many, onward to Walter Reed Medical Center in Bethesda, Maryland. Joe Herndon had suffered wounds to his head, arms, and legs, but he insisted that he was all right and wanted to return to his unit. He was repeatedly told by the medical staff that his war was over and that he was going home after earning his 2nd Purple Heart. During the week that Joe was at the field hospital, a group of soldiers from his unit returning from mid-tour leave arrived in Balad. They were waiting for a helicopter ride from the air base back to their unit's operating location. They had heard that Joe Herndon was there, and they made it a point to spend some time with him while they waited. About a day later, while I was sitting in my operations center, a dust-wind alert was sent throughout Iraq. Dust-wind is a military acronym for duty status, whereabouts unknown. Basically, it is a missing soldier, and combat operations in the entire country take a back seat to finding the missing American. Seconds later, the name of the soldier was transmitted over secure radio, one Specialist Joseph Herndon. I remember thinking, surely there must be some mistake because Joe wasn't missing. He was sitting in Balad waiting for evacuation to Germany. Right before I picked up the phone to notify my higher headquarters of the mistake, I received an urgent call from one of my subordinate battalion commanders. He began by saying, "Hey, sir, you will never believe what just happened." Sound familiar? He proceeded to tell me that Specialist Herndon had just landed on his operating base in a helicopter filled with soldiers returning from the States. Apparently, Joe had convinced the soldiers who had visited him in Balad to help him escape from his medical prison. So they disguised him with portions of their uniform, covered the visible bandages, and helped him hobble along on crutches to the waiting helicopter. Herndon told the crew chief that he was supposed to be on a helicopter flight in a few days, but he returned from his leave early. And since there was room on the helicopter and it was going to the same place, could he hop on with his teammates who were assisting him? It worked. And Herndon arrived to a hero's welcome from the soldiers in his battalion as his reputation and legend grew with every telling and retelling of his great escape. Specialist Herndon would remain on administrative duty on his base camp until he was physically able to go on combat patrols with his unit a couple of months later. During that time, the Army would extend our combat tour from 12 months to 15 months. Shortly after, in July of 2004, in a hardscrabble town called Hawija, Specialist Joseph Herndon would be fatally shot in the head by an Al-Qaeda sniper from Chechnya. Our Iron Man would finally be going home with his 3rd Purple Heart. Placing his flag-draped casket into the back of a military transport plane to Dover, Delaware, was one of the toughest days in years of combat and remains one of the saddest days of my life. Over the years, I've rarely talked about Joe Herndon. I guess I wanted to do it now because I'm getting older. and I want him to be remembered by another generation. So I was pleased to read that 20 years later, the people of Derby, Kansas did not forget, holding an annual celebration, naming a street after him, and creating a $500 high school scholarship in his honor. It brings a measure of closure to a turbulent time. Once again, thank you for attending this ceremony. After the ceremony, take some time to thank a veteran and listen to their stories. And when you gather with your loved ones tonight, please tell them the story of Specialist Joseph Herndon, athlete, jokester, hero, leader, and one of my soldiers. Thank you.
What a great story. Thank you, Milo. And now, it is my honor to introduce our keynote speaker. The Honorable James D. Rodriguez is the U.S. Department of Labor's Assistant Secretary for Veterans Employment and Training Service, also known as VETS. He is responsible for preparing America's veterans, service members, and their spouses for meaningful careers. In this capacity, and in fiscal year 2023, over 2,400 DOL vet staff, contractors, and grantees served more than 430,000 veterans and military spouses across all agency programs. Mr. Rodriguez earned a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science from the University of Maryland Global Campus and a Master of Arts in International Commerce and Policy from George Mason University. He also serves as an adjunct faculty member in the Department of Government and Political Science in the University of Maryland Global Campus. Last month, he was presented with UMGC's 2024 Distinguished Alumni Award. We are so honored he has joined us today to offer remarks in honor of veterans. President Fowler, General Miles, and Assistant Secretary Rodriguez, would you please join me at the podium at this time? Assistant Secretary Rodriguez, as a token of our admiration and gratitude for your advocacy on behalf of veterans and your support of education and the opportunities it brings, we are pleased to continue a practice rooted in military tradition and present you with the official University of Maryland Global Campus Challenge Coin. We hope that it will find a place of honor in your home or office, and that it will serve to remind you always of the time you have shared with us today, and of the impact of your service in lives and communities here in Maryland. Thank you. And now we invite the Honorable James Rodriguez to deliver the keynote address.
Good afternoon, everyone. So again, thank you all for joining today for Veterans Day. So thank all the veterans. I want to reiterate that. Also, a happy belated birthday to my beloved Marine Corps, which was yesterday, 249 years. So for the Marines, and I know our Student Veteran of the Year is a Marine, and so I have to say that. It's hard to follow a story as a general just described to us, because someone who served in Operation Desert Shield, Desert Storm, Operation Enduring Freedom, I can understand how the meaning of service and sacrifice above yourself is so important. But I want to talk about action. The former slave from Maryland and world-renowned abolitionist Frederick Douglass said, education is about action. Now, he talked about a lot of things, right? But I'm paraphrasing. He said, education is about action. And so what does that action mean to you? And this is what I've tried to do every single day when I think about the value of education. How do we create generational wealth for service members after they leave active duty? What is that educational value to that individual and his or her family? Because that's what generational wealth comes from. By getting educated, we allow ourselves to do better for ourselves, but do better for our families. And then we provide an example for all those who have the opportunity to follow in our footsteps. One of the reasons I'm here today is because of education. It took me 17 years to earn my undergraduate degree because of the fact that I moved numerous times. I was stationed at different places. And oftentimes when I transitioned, for some folks of my age who understand this, when I transitioned from one duty station to another duty station, a lot of credits didn't transfer from the community college system, from North Carolina to California systems. But until I found my home at University of Maryland University campus in Asia, along with my wife, where we were both working full-time, raising 2 daughters, we would go to class. I would go Mondays and Wednesdays, she would go Tuesdays and Thursdays. Or I'd go from 4 to 7 and she'd go from 7 to 10 or vice versa, depending on the semester. But we need the value of education, not only for ourselves while we're serving on active duty, because my wife is a Marine also, who, by the way, is a lot tougher than I am. But we knew that it was going to be important to our daughters. And so we both graduated with our associate's degree, walked across the stage in Okinawa, Japan, and our 2 young daughters were sitting in the audience. And to this day, they remember, both of them have graduate degrees now. One's an MBA, and one has a graduate degree, a master's degree. Both work for great companies, and I'm proud to say both off of my payroll. So when we talk about the value of generational wealth that comes from education, I am living proof of that. At the same time, I try to take action, as I described earlier, in ensuring that veterans who come behind me understand the value of that when they go into the corporate space, when they go into politics, when they go work for the government. Because we know, if you look at the history of our country, we look at the value of our veterans and the growth of our country since we were founded. How key of a component our veteran participation in every aspect of society of this country has been afforded to them because of the ability to wear the uniform and then the follow-on service after that. Once we take off the uniform, we never stop serving. Everybody who's on active duty right now, who's going through the educational process, when they take their uniform off, they're going to continue to serve as well. Whether they're going to be educators, they're going to be coaches, they're going to be mentors, they're going to be pillars of the community. They're going to be every piece of society that we want them to take their skills and training and put them to use as good citizens, regardless of where they land after military service. And so that's part of action. But at the same time, when we have the opportunity to represent our fellow veterans in an office like the Assistant Secretary, where you have a Senate-confirmed individual who's an enlisted member, by the way. I'm a retired Marine First Sergeant, and that's what I am very proud of. By the fact that I've proven that we enlisted have the opportunity, given the opportunity, I should say, just like anyone else, given the opportunity, we can be successful. So it doesn't matter what your rank is, it doesn't matter what uniform, what branch you serve in. What matters is that you have a bias for action, military term, right? A bias for action, meaning you're gonna do something that's bigger than yourself. We know that talent comes from all spaces in this country, from the inner cities, from someone like myself, where I grew up in a small town in Texas. I grew up going to school, actually, to have lunch in many cases. I grew up in the projects. When I went back to my high school after I received my appointment, I went back to my high school and I was talking to the seniors and I was telling them, how do you all know where the projects is? Everybody knows where the projects is in a small town. Everybody's hand came up. And I said, I was one of those kids that grew up in those projects most of my life. But one of the things that I knew for sure is no matter if I didn't have something to eat or if I didn't have warmth sometimes in the wintertime, I knew I had the ability to maintain my self-respect. And that was important to me. And I knew that led me into doing something bigger than what I was currently in the situation I was in. And that's why I joined the military. For many, the military is a pathway out of those type of situations. And it gives us an opportunity to contribute to society once we separate from the military, as I mentioned. But at the same time, we have a dual responsibility to be there for the next generation. whether it's as an adjunct faculty member, whether as a mentor, or whether as a coach, because of the fact that success is not born by the individual alone. Success is born through partnerships, through mentorships, through companionships, and of course, through family members' support. We always have to take the time to recognize the family members, especially the military spouses, who play such a significant role in that service member's success when they are married on active duty and post-separation. We always have to remember that the spouses, the families, sacrifice the most. And it is inherently important for us to ensure that they have access to the same type of resources. I am fortunate at the Department of Labor that I get to lead the federal employment programs for the United States. For all veterans who are seeking opportunities post-military service, we get to support them. We have directors in every state. One of those, Stephanie Wiggins, former Navy, and is now our state director for the great state of Maryland. And she is leading, just like all the other state directors, which 95% of my staff have all served in uniform. So again, their action is to give back, to serve their states, to serve their communities. Our entire being is to give back to our fellow veterans by ensuring that they have adequate jobs, ensuring that they are not underemployed, ensure that they have a pathway to career success, post-military service, but more importantly, to ensure that they have the opportunity to give back to their community. And so, as a representative of University of Maryland Global Campus, it is an honor for me to come up here and talk about the value of education and to prove that education is a pathway to generational wealth, generational success. One of the things that I will tell you though, success can only be described by you as the individual. You have to determine what success looks like. Nobody can tell you what that is. You have to determine what that success looks like. But at the same time, you have to have the responsibility to ensure someone else understands what success can be, given the right resources, given the right opportunity as well. And that's what University of Maryland Global Campus provides. When you look at the global presence and you look at the ability for them to put educators into spaces that other universities wouldn't even think of, then you know you have a university who's dedicated to that service member and or veteran. When you have a president like Dr. Fowler, who is totally invested in the educational process of our service members and their families, and at the same time looking for more opportunities to expand the resources, because we know that there is always an opportunity for growth. When you have that type of environment, you cannot go wrong with a system built for success. And I am living proof of that. And so I am very proud of the fact that I was honored to be the Distinguished Alumni of the Year for 2024 because of the fact that I get to continue to represent all of you all who are going to college when we know it's hard, going to college when you're overseas, going to college when you have to log on like I did at midnight when we had the dial-up networks. And the only time I could get on was midnight to submit a paper. And my wife and I used to have to jockey to figure out who was going to get on at certain times. And you heard that familiar sound for some of my age, right? But limitations are only entirely up to you. You are the one who put limitations on yourself. And this is what I want to remind all of the folks who are currently enrolled in college right now, that limitations don't matter. There's living proof all across this great nation of ours, all across this university, that limitations limitation is just a word. You know, you're gonna hear from our student veteran, or we're gonna get to recognize our student veteran, and I think he embodies that. I just had a brief conversation with him as a young fellow Marine, and he embodies the fact that limitations are something that we can all overcome. And I'm proud to see when we talk about the next generation of leaders, you have a student veteran who's gonna embody that. And what I hope to see in the future is that I have another UMGC alumni standing up here as an assistant secretary or something more senior in the federal government, doing what's best for our fellow veterans and their families, because we indeed have the opportunity to be a voice of change. So thank you all for giving me an opportunity to speak a little bit on this Veterans Day. I want to thank the president and again, the entire team for putting this event on and giving me a few minutes to really offer my gratitude for all of the things that the university system has provided me and my family and my two daughters by default. So thank you all.
Thank you, Assistant Secretary Rodriguez, for your service and efforts on behalf of veterans for your inspiring remarks and for joining us here today. There are 109,000 UMGC alumni in Maryland and 301,000 alumni around the world, and many are distinguished veterans. General John W. Vesey Jr., who graduated from UMGC in 1963 and served as the first chair of our university's Board of Visitors, rose from the ranks as an enlisted soldier to become the 10th chairman of the U.S. Joint Chiefs of Staff. He was passionate about both service to country and the value of education. Each year, we grant an award in his honor. The General John W. Vesey Student Veteran of the Year Award recognizes a student veteran who has excelled in their military career and in achieving their academic goals. This year's honoree hails from Herat, Afghanistan, where his formative years were deeply impacted by conflict and instability. Seeking a safer environment, his family relocated to Elk Grove, California, where he attended Franklin High School. In 2014, he enlisted in the U.S. Marine Corps, embarking on a distinguished career defined by leadership, service, and a steadfast commitment to excellence. Balancing his military service with academic pursuits presented significant challenges for him, especially during combat deployments in various countries. Despite these demands, he remained dedicated to his education, often studying under adverse conditions. While serving with the United States Marine Forces Special Operations Command, he excelled in his classes, showcasing remarkable time management skills. His impressive academic achievements include earning both an associate and a bachelor's degree from the University of Maryland Global Campus with a perfect 4.0 GPA. He completed 7 college courses during a single reporting period while fulfilling his military obligations, and his accomplishments were recognized when he was selected as the student ambassador for his graduating class. In addition to his academic and military success, he has shown a profound commitment to public service. During Operation Allies Welcome, he played a vital role in supporting 5,000 Afghan refugees, dedicating long hours to ensure their well-being amid the crisis. During his career, he has received numerous awards, including 2 Navy Marine Corps Achievement Medals and a Military Outstanding Volunteer Service Medal, reflecting the high regard in which he is held by his superiors. His journey is a testament to overcoming adversity, leading by example, and excelling in every aspect of life, making him a deserving recipient of this honor. I'm delighted to present this year's General John W. Vesey Jr. Student Veteran of the Year Award to Gunnery Sergeant Hassan Jamshidi. Will President Fowler, General Miles, and Gunnery Sergeant Jamshidi please join me on stage? On behalf of all of us at UMGC, congratulations on earning this award. This is a testament to your service and your achievement. The floor is now yours.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon again, distinguished guests, faculty, family, friends, and my fellow veterans. I am truly honored and humbled to stand here today as the recipient of General John W. Vesey Student Veteran of the Year Award. I extend my sincere gratitude to the University of Maryland Global Campus for this recognition and for supporting veterans like myself in our educational journeys. To my family, friends, and fellow Marines, thank you for standing by me. Your support has been invaluable. To the faculty, mentors, and advisors at UMGC, your encouragement and guidance have been instrumental in my journey, and I am grateful for the chance to learn from each of you. Today, I'd like to share how education has been both a beacon and a tool throughout my life, in both the Marine Corps and the battles I faced on and off field. My journey began in Afghanistan, where my family and I endured the challenges of conflict and displacement. Finding refuge in America offered us a new beginning, one filled with hope and possibilities. When I joined the Marine Corps, I did so to serve a country that gave me so much. My career included roles that demanded not only physical strength and endurance, but also critical thinking, strategic planning, and a deep understanding of complex environments. Education has been key in helping me meet those demands. During my time with Special Operation Command, I was responsible for critical operation, developing psychological operation products, and advising leadership on information environment. The knowledge and skills I gained through my studies were more than just theoretical. They were tools I relied on during some of the most challenging moments of my service. Education gave me the insights to assess situations from multiple perspectives, and a skill invaluable in combat settings where quick and sound decision is a matter of life and death. It taught me how to analyze, strategize, and lead with purpose. Balance in education with deployments was demanding, but each late night and each challenge was worth it. Every class, every lesson prepared me not only for the battlefield, but also for the complexity of leadership. To my fellow veterans, I want to remind you that the path you're on is one of resilience and courage. Balancing education with life responsibilities, especially after service, is no easy task. There will be times when the challenges seem overwhelming, but I urge you to stay on course. Push through the late nights, the doubts, and the countless responsibilities. I can tell you from experience, it is worth it. Your hard work today paves the way for future opportunities and achievements. Trust in yourself, lean on those who support you, and remember that you've already overcome more than many can imagine. You have what it takes to succeed. Finally, I want to remind everyone here that America is the greatest nation in the world, built on the sacrifices of veterans and those who have given their lives for our country. Our military service has strengthened us to face any challenge, and our education empowers us to use that strength to build a better world. Semper Fidelis, and God bless America. Thank you.
Congratulations again, Gunnery Sergeant Jamshidi. This award is made possible through a generous gift from one of the university's first female graduates, retired United States Air Force Lieutenant Colonel Donna Hildebrand. Ms. Hildebrand's generosity also supports another important university initiative, the UMGC National Military Family Association Scholarship Program, which awards 10 or more grants each year to the spouses of active duty, service members, reservists, or members of the National Guard. The university is currently accepting applications for this scholarship. Another amazing program, the Pillars of Strength Scholarship, provides full scholarships covering all costs of a UMGC degree to the caregivers of service members or veterans who are wounded, injured, or become seriously ill in the line of duty. The caregivers of service members are often unsung heroes, family members or friends who put their own lives and careers on hold to care for friends or loved ones. We're so grateful to those who make the Pillars of Strength Scholarship possible, including UMGC alumnus and Navy veteran Richard F. Blewett, who is CEO of the Blewett Foundation and the program's founder, as well as the National Military Family Association. If you know of a spouse or other caregiver to one of our nation's heroes, please encourage them to learn more about these unique scholarship opportunities and to apply. Finally, there is one additional scholarship program available to our military and veterans. It is the Veterans Assistance Fund, a persistence and completion scholarship that provides needed assistance for those whose VA educational benefits have been exhausted or expired. To make a donation, please use the QR code on the bottom of your program or here on the screens. Before we conclude today's program, I ask you all to join me in reflecting on how you commemorate Veterans Day. If you know of someone who served, reach out and thank them. Give them a call, send them an email or a postcard, or make a donation to an organization in their name. Even better, take time to hear their story. I'll leave you with this quote from General Colin Powell in his book, My American Journey, an autobiography. American soldiers must know the reason for their sacrifices. Our GIs are not vassals or mercenaries. They are the nation's sons and daughters. We put their lives at risk only for worthy objectives. If the duty of the soldier is to risk his life, the responsibility of his leaders is to not spend that life in vain. My friends, here in the room and watching online, please do not let the day end without expressing your appreciation and honoring our military veterans for their service, their dedication, and their sacrifice and commitment. As we conclude our Veterans Day ceremony, we invite everyone to stand and join me as we honor our servicemen and women with a rousing rendition of the Armed Forces Medley. Please stand. Outstanding, outstanding. Please be seated. And thank you so much to the Prelude Brass Quintet. I thank you all for participating in our Veterans Day ceremony. And this is an event such as this, it requires the hard work of an entire team of professionals behind the scenes. On behalf of all we honor here today, we thank you for organizing and hosting this event. And to veterans in our audience and watching online, for your service, commitment, and sacrifice, we thank you. Happy Veterans Day.